lawn sitting next to my dog, and he stayed for 2 years. Nobody knows where he came from. He became such a draw that people would just come to the house anyway, but he just became such a draw that kids would make their parents come by, and he would hold up traffic all around here for like 15, 20 minutes, you know, and nobody would beep at him. He would just stand out in the street and make his way, but eventually it got a little dangerous for him, and we had to put him on a farm, so he went to a farm. But he stayed here for 2 years. The guys at the bar across the street took care of him. They built him a little coop, and they took care of him in the winter and let him go in the good weather. And there's me in the background with him. So strange things like that happen. You know, you just walk out and you see a rooster on your lawn one day. Over there, of course, a lot of the paranormal investigations have been covered. That's when the BBC came in, did that show Dead Famous here. Sid the Psychic, I work in radio, as I said. We had Sid from Colorado come in. She used to work with our morning show a lot. But we had her come in for Halloween, and that was an incredible experience when she came in. And you know, it's always that draw, the paranormal draw. Or sometimes when I'm just giving tours, things start happening. It's just a bizarre. I'll tell you a story on the 3rd floor. All right, so that's the master bedroom. Now, the house means a lot to this community. And this guy painted the house up on slate for us and just left it on the porch with a thank you note on it, which is nice, you know. It's very cool. Boxes of information would just, because the house has been written up forever and a day, so boxes of information would just come, and you know, people were real psyched because, you know, everybody used to say, oh, I was going to buy that house. This is the brand new bathroom. We just put it in. It was a bathroom before, but nothing like you see here. This room was so disgusting. Actually, this leads out to the master bedroom. So if I open this door here, that goes back out to the master bedroom where we just were. But before, you couldn't get there because this was a closet. So the closet came out to here, and there was an abutting closet from like here back. So really, you only had this much for the bathroom, and the tub was like right here, you know. But we redid the whole thing. We had to. Put the corner unit shower in, took a door out. But I mean, you know, we needed to do that. Original clawfoot tub that was in the house, though. Restored. So if you need to use the restroom, there's one here too. Believe me, it makes a big difference because when we didn't have this one up and operating, we used to go downstairs, and when you're on the 3rd floor, it's a hell of a long walk down. All right. Let's go down here. What are you going to go along here? This is anybody lost yet? It's easy to get lost in this house. It's really easy. This is the nursery. This is the old nursery. This is where the Pierce children were reared. Very prominent room. We let my son Alex pick out his colors, so he wanted with the gold and the burgundy and the blue and whatever. But ceiling fan's not original, but the ceiling medallion is. And you can see this right here. If you look up into these cornices, those are lions' faces. It's a religious sign for protection. There are 3 sets of them in the children's room, at the end of the hallway leading to the children's room, and on the room on the other side opposite the safe. So again, really protective. I mean, we're coming right down to detail for the grates, the intake valves and the heating grates. This is where a lot of EVPs have been gotten lately. Okay? For the first time, we used to get just male EVPs, but now it's a child EVP, and we also have a woman EVP for the first time, and Karen Mossy got it last Sunday for the first time, and she dominates the EVP set that she had. There's a man's voice. We always get the man. There may be 2. We know there's definitely 1. But lately there's been a lot of stuff going on in this room.
What kind of messages?
Don't leave. There's a child that says don't leave. When signs, they're from Western Mass. They're out in Springfield area. They've been in twice recently, and they got a bunch of EVPs. But it was like, don't leave. And Karen's still going through hers, but she just got like the mother load last Sunday. She just, there's something about her. When she walks in, she'll just grab EVP. She could grab an EVP in a convenience store. You know, they just, for some reason. But she got a lot in this room. Now, we know the 3 spirits that we have here. One is a boy, and one is a servant by the name of Maddie Cornwall, who was 22 years old. She was from out of this country. And I will tell you a little bit more about her as we go upstairs real quick. So this was the, but I want you to take a good look at this woodwork in here, and I want you to take a good look at the doors. You know, the pattern continues in this room. You can see the old gas intake right there. I mean, think about it. The house was built before gunfight at the OK Corral. It was built before the invention of household electricity. It was built before the invention of the telephone. It was built before Custer's Last Stand. You know, and just as smooth as can be. This is the top to the servant staircase. That staircase that I showed you downstairs on the Union Street side of the house, this is where it ends. All right, she comes up, and actually there's not much you're going to be able to see down there, but that staircase winds up here and it ends here. And then what happens is it'll come down this hallway. And I'm going to show you this room here. You get to meet my kids. I don't think they've come out yet. Hello, guys. We're on the tour. Hi. Everybody, this is my daughter Victoria and my son Alex.
Hello.
Look at the difference in the woodwork between that room and this room. Even though Victoria's nice and cool in here. I mean, she's got a computer, she's got a TV and everything. But look at the difference in the woodwork. Why? Because this was the maid's room. And this ceiling medallion wasn't here. And this is not originally a closet, but in fact where the dumbwaiter stopped. So you see the servant, the nanny who would take care of the children, she was in the top echelon of the servants, probably not the head servant, but she certainly had the most important job because she had to be in here. But she would go through that door and through the little threshold, and in a matter of 3 feet, all that original woodwork is back. You know what I mean? Because she was a servant, she didn't get the good woodwork. However, she got cool things like built-in dresser drawers into the wall, you know, and closets and stuff. So, thank you guys. Now the third floor.
More.
Oh, there's tons more. The third floor. This is a whole different world. Let's get to the top of the stairs. Whoever's last, please shut the door behind you, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, isn't it? Sort of. These are all Stemmerman's paintings. A lot of activity up here. Lots.
What kind of activity?
Footsteps, doors opening and closing, EVPs, especially in these upper floors here, especially recently. This floor has seen more bizarre things that have happened up here than any other floor in the house by far. By far.
Is there any particular area or just
the whole entire floor.
Okay.
This was this floor served two purposes. This was the servants' quarters, but it was also where the billiards table was. Let's start in this room here. Let me get the light. All right.
You aren't kidding about the artwork lining the walls. I can't believe how many there are. And you just left them?
Yeah, the family didn't want them back. Nothing, no. Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. Where we're in right now, this room served two purposes. One of them, this is where the water came from. This is that water tank I was mentioning earlier. Right there. You can see the chains that held it up to it. It's almost like its own little belfry. And that tank weighs a ton, and I can only imagine what it would weigh with it full with water. And above us in the attic, there are a series of aqueducts that run. We don't usually access the attic because you actually literally have to go up through this porthole here, but we can go to the tower. But this is where the water tank was, and the gravity would just feed it through the house. Unfortunately for them, it was lead lined, so that's not the most well. It might have been efficient to prevent rust, but certainly I'm sure it had some kind of a bad impact on their health at one point in time. But this is where they would sleep. They would sleep bunk style all the way back. We use it as wood storage now or whatever, but yeah, they would sleep bunk style all the way back. Now that wall wasn't there when the house was built. We really feel that that's the case. It's not horsehair plaster. Certainly the bottom baseboard is not anywhere near close to what was here. So we think that this room ran the entire length of the house originally. That's what we think.
Do you think there's something behind that wall?
Oh, there is. There's in another room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there's another room. So instead of, so what they did was when they were in the boarding house stages, and I've interviewed people that stayed here in the 30s, the 60s, the 70s, when it was a boarding house. We've got all kinds of accounts and stories and so on and so forth about this. So all the information I tell you is accurate. And has been corroborated, because that's important to me, you know. When we first moved in, our contractor Mark, who you saw in the windows downstairs in the newspaper, suggested that we get the house checked out for paranormal activity, and I had nothing. No, I didn't know anything about it. His two nieces came up, and they were psychics, and they came up with two initials. They said we had three spirits: a boy, a man about 50, and a young woman who was a nanny or a house servant here, and the young woman was in charge of the spirits. She was the head honcho when it comes to that stuff. She's protecting the house. Her initials were MC. She was between the ages of 19 and 22 or 23. And she was from out of the country. She wasn't born or raised in this country. She was from out of the country, and she was still here because she loved this place and felt it was her only home, and also that she was still in love with Mr. Pierce, and she was waiting for him to come back. And that's why she's still here. Well, wouldn't you know it, I went down to the library with Suzanne, and through the old microfilm, we went to the census records from 1880. And Mr. Pierce died in 1888. House was built in 1875. 1880 was really, they only did the census every decade. And sure enough, out of the 23 or 24 house servants, number 21 was Maddie Cornwall, a 22-year-old female house servant nanny from Nova Scotia. And she is here, and she is in charge. She is where the buck stops. Everybody says it. Nobody, none of the psychics or mediums have ever deviated from these three spirits. Not one. Not one. They have never said anything but, and if they don't know anything about the house, they'll come into this house, and it's always like, you have a servant girl, a man who died in a fire, and a boy. And it's always the same. Always the same. Never deviates. Now, a lot of them think that people come and go. The spirits come and go as well. But we'll see. But we know we have those three. And it was all corroborated, and it was pretty bizarre. And it's incredibly bizarre, because what happened at this doorway about 3 weeks after we found out about these spirits from the very first two psychics and mediums that came in, there was a major incident that happened at this doorway right here. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. This room here is my old office, but again, you've seen the numbers on the doors. That's when it was a boarding house. Now, obviously, in the 30s, they didn't put these up. Probably in the 60s or the 70s, they put those up. You can see more of his artwork, kind of the more racy stuff, some of the more bizarre stuff. I mean, you're taking these, whatever he was thinking or taking at the time he painted that one, I have no idea. That's his wife, Jane. That's his granddaughter, Kimberly. And I know this because when we go out, I'll show you the other paintings of Kimberly in a more of a serene setting rather than a nude like that. That's his wife, that's his wife, that's his wife. Instead of painting subliminal faces into this painting, though, he put in subliminal phallic symbols in the grass. As you can see, I had moved the painting for 2 years. I never noticed it. I took two women on a tour. It was the first thing they looked at. And they were like, oh my God. And what they said was unbelievable. And I say, oh my God, you're right. I never noticed that. So that's the amazing thing about some of his paintings, is you don't notice this stuff until after a while. Aliens. Again, the psychics and the mediums think that he was tormented, that they didn't like him much. You know, he got really bizarre because, you know, if you go back to the 30s, his paintings like that one, simple, serene, kind of a childlike landscape. But then he gets into this bizarre stuff, and that, what the hell was he thinking there? I don't know. You know? And they've never left the house. He actually did make national news once. He had a couple of paintings up in a gallery in New Hope, Pennsylvania called Love Saves the Day. It was a nude woman nailed to a cross and another nude. The church protested, just like in The Last Temptation of Christ. Instead of coming in and saying nothing, they came in and they completely trashed this movie. Don't go see it, which drove the customers in. Same thing happened to his paintings. The media came after the church protested, which brought the customers, and they each sold for like $1,200 or $1,400 a piece. Made national news once. I actually have the article.
Why did he leave the house?
Because we think he was chased out. He won the house in a card game in 1966 with S.K. Pierce's eldest son, Edward, was in his 90s. And this connection from Stemmerman to the Pierces was that Stemmerman's aunt was a servant or a housekeeper for the Pierces. That's why he would come to this house to begin with. They put the house up in a card game in 1966. And guess who won? Stemmerman won. And so when Pierce, you know, he died shortly thereafter, but he signed the house over to him. And he would come here and paint, but he didn't paint the house. You know, he did actually, it's on canvas, but he didn't actually literally paint the house, which he should have because it would have probably saved us a little work. But
is it possible he could have cheated him out of the house? That's maybe why the spirits are...
possible? Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
trying to get him out.
Absolutely. That's a pretty good theory.
90-year-old man, you know...
It could be. It could be. And now he's not here to defend himself, and I've never met the man. In fact, we never even talked to him. When we came into this negotiation, it was all done through his granddaughter, Kimberly. He signed the house over to her. They wanted nothing to do with it. He owned a house in Woodhaven, New York, and she owned and a house in Woodhaven, Florida. No, Woodhaven, New York, and Hallandale, Florida. I'm sorry. And she didn't. She just take it, whatever. I mean, it's a 26-room authentic Victorian mansion. That needs a lot of work. But the price we paid for it, and when we do go to sell it, if Suzanne decides that one day she wants to move back to her native England or what have you, is so unbelievable. It's so unbelievable. Let me tell you something. They got more for the billiards table at auction than we paid for this house. Wow. By double.
Yeah.
And what did I say the billiards table was worth?
What is this stuff up on the wall here?
That's screenwriting, screenplay that we're working on. I actually have produced 4 films, and I work in radio.
Oh,
yeah, it's mine. Yeah, it's actually I did a film in '84 called Attack of the Killer Refrigerator. It's a piece of shit, really. But because of the title, it garnered all this interest, and it ended up by getting all this stuff. It got reviewed in Variety. Made the damn thing for $25. Working on a sequel, but I've made 3 in between. And my other job is radio. I'm a radio announcer. I have a show every day from 3 to 7. I do a lot of radio production and stuff. So we're actually getting ready to shoot the sequel to that one here because we've had so many requests for it, for people to come up with a sequel. And it was nationally distributed with our second film. Schlock budget horror films. And then we did another one in the 90s called Days Before Christmas that won an award at the Houston International Film Festival. So, but we're going to do the fridge again. We got the perfect opportunity, the perfect house, the perfect setting. Get a bunch of teenagers in a house with a killer refrigerator this big, and let the fun begin.
You ever think about making a movie about the house itself?
Yeah, actually, we have. It's come up. We're actually shooting a TV pilot here. That's coming up. But yeah, actually, I'm in the process. It was just there's a writer by the name of Thomas D. Agostino. He's from Rhode Island. He just came up. He's putting in a book called Haunted Massachusetts. He just wrote Haunted Rhode Island. It was released, and now everything is coming in, and it's going. Are you guys familiar with Fate magazine?
Yeah.
This house will be in Fate magazine this month because he wrote an article for Fate magazine as well. All right. This is my office. Actually, I thought this for you too. I think this one is.
A nice place.
Yeah, I got a lot of great cool stuff in here. This is my space, and basically, it's one of those it's one of those rooms.
Is that your station? 98.9?
Yeah, that's I do the show, but I also work for WXLO, which is a hot AC. That's the greatest hits of the 60s and 70s. And then we have another station called The Pike. Do I have that one here too? Yeah, right here. That's a classic hit station, but it used to be called The Fox, which was a rock station. So it's great because I get to work with a lot of different artists, whether I'm emceeing their concerts or what have you. I just worked with Jewel the other day.
Is that Dee Snider over there?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Because he's from Long Island too. Yeah, he was actually it was because of Twisted Sister that got me into heavy metal.
Oh, really? Yeah, it was great. It was great. And this is actually the guys from Great White. There's Ty, who died in the Station nightclub fire in Rhode Island, and there's Jack right there. Bare Naked Ladies, Bangles, Joey Mullen from Badfinger. It's great because of all the different formats of the radio stations. We're able to meet. Like I've worked with Tears for Fears, Grand Funk, Duran Duran, Dennis DeYoung from Styx, Peter Tork from the Monkees, 10 Years After, Three Dog Night, Janis Joplin's band, Big Brother and the Holding Company, Richard Marx, Hanson. Those guys. Oh man, I'm telling you, out of all the bands. Oh, there's Suzanne with Rick Springfield. He did a show for us, and he came out rip-roaring drunk. Every other word out of his mouth was fuck. He forgot the words to Jesse's Girl, and it was a disaster. But he's still Rick Springfield, you know what I mean? So punched out his sound man, wrecked the hotel room we got for him and everything. There's Pete Best, the original Beatles drummer, right there. And so it just goes on and on and on. Some regional acts. Orleans, Larry Halpin and I are pretty good friends. Guys from Avril Lavigne, guys from Love and Spoonful, Dick Van Patten. It goes on and on and on, and God knows. Ayla Brown from American Idol just came in a little while back. So it's pretty cool. We get to meet a lot of people. I get to MC a lot of great shows, you know. I've worked with Joey a couple of times. We've become friends. He lives in Minneapolis. He's from Badfinger. AC/DC, whatever. You know, it's just part of the territory. But this is my little space up here. In fact, here's a one sheet from the first film, although this is not, she's not in it. That's our distribution company out of Los Angeles put her in it. It's like, it's not even what it is, you know? So, it's cool. Let me give you these CDs before I forget. What I have on here...
It's like Barbara Well on a bad day.
I got it.
You know what I mean?
You're smoking some good Gardner.
Yeah. No, I can't say they have. Usually the EVPs come out, or voices. When Karen was here last week, she played me some EVPs she got from Gettysburg, the battlefields down there. That is just bizarre. I mean, you can hear the troop, you can hear the commander, company halt, you can hear a woman screaming, you can hear the bugle. I'm like, wow, that's incredible. But no, actually, if you did, you'd be the first ones. How about that? You know. So there is definitely a possibility of it. The house was used as a brothel around the turn of the century. By the way, the first Buick sold in Gardner was sold from this house, and the first Studebaker ever sold was sold from this house because the Pierce kids each had competing car dealerships here, or horseless carriage dealerships as they were known sometimes. And yeah, and we've got the guy who bought it, where he was from, how long he used it, all this information on these cars. And now Suzanne's using it as a craft room, but sort of, and I gotta fix this ceiling. I got a lot of ceiling work in this house. But you see, this is what we're facing. But you can see what it looks like when you do restore a room downstairs. I mean, it's just absolutely breathtaking. And eventually this will be sort of like that up here as well. But not in bad shape considering it was empty for 20 years and water would just pour through. This is one half of my private waterfall. The other half is on the other side of the wall. When we moved in, it would rain out. It's just the water. Look at what it did. You can see where it just took out the plaster, you know? But not anymore. Be careful. This is the last. Well, this is the last flight going up. We still haven't gone to the basement, which is another whole different atmosphere.
I got a circular staircase in there. It's nowhere near as tall as this. I'm definitely coming up here tonight anyway.
Oh yeah.
EVPs or not.
Anybody get anything up here?
Yeah, Karen Mossy did last weekend. This was, I met the girl who rented this room in the 70s for $15 a week. I met the guy who rented the master bedroom in the 30s for $15 a month. So it was pretty funny how that kind of came around. But $15 a month got him room and board and his bed made every morning. You know, and he worked over here at Fowler's Drugstore, which is now an antique store that hasn't been open forever. But this is the height part of the height, mass, and weight, Second Empire style Victorian design. Mr. Pierce owned this chair factory. The front part, of course, has been rebuilt a couple times because it burned down. But that back building, which you can barely see beyond that hopper, is part of the original. The South Gardner Hotel has been there for over 200 years. That was the main point, if you were traveling to Boston or to Worcester through here, this was the old original route to the main thing before they built the other one. And so everybody would stop there. That's where P.T. Barnum used to hang, and that's where Mr. Pierce met him. Look at up the block, you can see the church steeple. That church resides on a hill, and we're about dead eye level with the steeple, even though it sits on a hill.
Is any strange things going on at the hotel or at the building?
Yeah, oh yeah, that place is haunted big time. Big time. It's funny too because the last group that was in wanted to see if I can get him in there, and the guy that used to run that place no longer works there now, but I still know all the bartenders and stuff. But the guy that does run the place now, the other guy would have absolutely let you because he's had experiences there. A lot of people have died there because up there are all boarding rooms. And over the years, if you think about it, it used to be cowboys walking in there with their 6 guns and their hats and stuff through the swinging doors. That's what it was. And the stagecoach stop was right out there, and then that was a rooming house up at the top. So a lot of people have died there. Since I've been living here, 5 people have died over there, you know, because a lot of people that live there now are either contractors or there was one millionaire that was living there, and he was a millionaire. He literally was a millionaire, but he just liked it there so much in his little room and his little squalor of existence. He loved it, and he was a great guy, and he died. I've known 3 or 4 other guys that have died over there, mainly due to alcoholism. You know, there's one that I was talking to tonight that's probably going to be going soon too. Unfortunately, he's too stupid up drunk to know. But one guy did make it through. He was this guy, I swear he shrank into the bar. He was there all the time, and I haven't been over there in a long time, but he shrank into the bar, and then I didn't see him for a long time. I thought he died, and then he came back and he got off the alcohol, and so he made it through. But yeah, I mean, you could just guys over there sometimes, but the nicest guys in the world, though. You know, nicest guys in the world. A lot of people are afraid to go in there, but it's nicest people in the world over there. They really are. They're really down home, and a lot of them live in the area, obviously. So when we bought this house, it was a big deal. They all emptied the bar, and they came out and helped us unload the truck. And I just, all of a sudden, I turned around, there were 20 people I don't know, just bringing stuff into the house. So that was cool. Yeah, so it's been a good ride. It's been a good ride. You know, because the house was going down. I mean, it was on the list to be raised. They were going to take this place down. It would have been a hell of a job to take this place down, but just in time, we came in and we bought it. And so it's been good to us. And a lot of the mediums and the psychics think that Maddie, the female spirit here, knew we were coming 2 years before we came here. Her mother flew over from London, and she just one day decided to go for a walk, and we were at work, and she walked down the street. Her objective was to find Mr. Pierce's grave. She walked right from this house to it with absolutely no sense of direction from out here. My mother-in-law is very highly sensitive. She'll dream of disasters, and it'll happen the next day. It's happened to her like 3 or 4 times. But she knew exactly where to go. So, yeah. The basement. That's a whole nother deal.
Oh, man.
We gotta
check it out.
Let's go check that out. That's a whole nother deal. And usually, and you guys are lucky because I usually don't, unless it's a paranormal research team, I don't allow anybody in the basement on a tour. But you guys, a couple weeks after we found out about the spirits, Suzanne and I never mentioned it because she was, how did now we're new into this whole thing, so we don't quite know what to make of it. And we had already checked it out at the library, so we never mentioned it, really. And one night I came home late from work, and I'll never forget the night I walked across the street to the pizza shop, and there were these 2 guys in the parking lot, and they were making fun of me. They were singing the Addams Family theme as I walked across, and I was like, and it was just like, oh man, I can't believe these guys are doing this. So as I walked across the street, they kept singing it, and I was like, you know, I'm pissed now, okay? So I go up to him, I stopped, and one guy had long gray hair, long gray beard, looked like a wizard from Harry Potter. The other guy looked like a drug dealer, like this, you know what I mean, the chains and the hat and all that, and they just didn't belong together. They didn't look like they belonged together. So as I got closer and I looked them straight in the eye, they stopped singing it. And I was going to let it go, and I did, and I took another step to go into the pizza shop, and they started singing it again. I went back up to them, and I said to them, look, what are you busting me for? Well, I mean, come on. It's like, do I look like Gomez to you? I mean, Christ, we're just trying to, like, I took offense to it. I was really, like, upset about this. And they were like, oh, no, we're not making fun of you. And I said, yes, you are. I said, you know what? Have a good night. Whatever, I'm done. I walked in the pizza shop. They follow me in now. And now they start apologizing up and down, up and down, up and down. And I said, okay, you know, whatever. Get off on the wrong foot. The guy with the beard and the hair introduces himself as Bill Wallace, and the other guy with him was his brother, and that's why they were so different. So now I'm like, okay, so I'm talking to him, and they're looking at the house. I said, you guys want to go in and see the house? So they said, sure, and I don't know these guys from a hole in the wall, but to make up for it and whatever, I brought them into the house. But before I came over, I called my wife, Suzanne. I said, put the dog in the cellar, because at that time, Bear was very protective of the house. If you were a man, he didn't know, he hated you, and I didn't want a problem. So put him in the cellar. And he's in the cellar now, and they come over, and we're touring just like we did up through the tower, looking at everything, you know, very jovial, everything's fine. And so we got to this point when Bill Wallace, the guy with the beard, decides that he's going to have like a heart attack. So he starts like kind of like clutching his chest. And now you could feel it coming too. Like you knew something bad was going to happen. You get that feeling sometimes. And I'm like, oh man, I can't believe this. So he's clutching his chest. And now everything starts to go into this full-grown panic. I don't know these guys. And all of a sudden they turn to his brother for help, and he's gone. Brother, I could hear him running down through the house. And then I thought, this guy's diverting me. This guy's going to rip me off. I made a mistake bringing him in here. But he ran out of the house. He didn't. I said, there's nothing to take anyway. You know, he just kind of just moved in. There's nothing to. So he ran out of the house. He was gone. I run back up the stairs, and now Bill's getting up. He's composing himself. He's okay. And once he was okay, he said, I said, you okay? He goes, yeah. I said, what is up with your brother? He goes, oh, he hates it when I do this. And I said, do what? He goes, my brother's a Roman Catholic priest. I said, your brother is a Roman Catholic priest that looks like a drug dealer. He goes, well, he dresses like that because he works with inner city youth. And I'm like, this is just getting too strange for me to deal with. And he says, and as far as I go, I died 6 years ago on the operating table, and when they revived me, I see dead people just like the movie. And he goes, and I see her, and he does this. He goes, I see her. And he points like that. I said, who do you see? Because I never mentioned it. Suzanne never mentioned it. He goes, she knows that you know that she's here. And now I'm really going, oh my God, what is he going to say? He goes, the nanny, the servant girl, she's laughing at me because she's got a sense of humor. We were told that she had a sense of humor before too. She goes, there's 3 things she wants me to tell you. He says, 1, she doesn't like your dog in the house. When she was here, dogs were here, but they were never allowed to run through the main part of the house. 2, within a 2-week time period from this very night, there's going to be a big problem between your big yellow dog and a female child, a brunette about this tall, could be your daughter. Never met Victoria, but at that time Victoria was that tall and she was brunette. And he goes, I said, well, they grow up together. I don't think there'll be a problem. He goes, just keep them on a short leash around the kids. I said, Bill, before you get to number 3, how do you know I have a dog? Never mind a big yellow dog. And you know what he does? He stands here and he looks through the floor and he points just like he's looking on television. He goes, because I can see him in the cellar from here. He goes, which brings me to point number 3. There's something in the cellar she doesn't like in the house. You have to find it and get it out of here. I said, Bill, what is it? He says, I don't know. He goes, but it's flat. Could be a document, could be a piece of paper, could be a cloth. And I goes, tell you what, look for it. And he goes back to the floor again. He starts pointing. He goes, east side of the house by the field stone wall outside the electrical room. There's a staircase. It leads to the kitchen. From the kitchen to the basement. Behind that staircase, there are mason and canning jars that you did not bring here. They were here when you moved in. That's where you will find this thing. He just described my cellar to a T, never having been in it. I mean, that part of it anyway. And now I'm really convinced that this guy is just like unbelievable. So he leaves. Suzanne and I run down, can't find anything. We're going through the mason jars. I don't know what I'm looking for. What the hell am I doing here? And to begin with, so I gave up until the next day when my best friend asked me, because I told him the story, to go back and look again. When I went back and looked again, I found a mason jar with a label on it. The label had a printing of, not written, but printed peaches on it. But somebody came across with a red pen and wrote and crossed off peaches and wrote the date 1957. But on either side of peaches, printed on the label, were 2 Nazi swastikas. And I didn't notice it the night before. I don't know how I missed it. Well, remember when I said, remember the Stars of David on the front door? Now, obviously, Hitler came to power long after this house was built, but it doesn't matter because we're all, still here. So I got it, called up my friend Mark, who got me into this ghost hunting stuff to begin with, the contractor. I said, what do I do with this jar, man? And he goes, get it out of the house, and I'll have the girls read it. As I cross the threshold from inside to the outside of the house with Suzanne right here on my right shoulder, a gust of wind, where there was no wind, lifted the label up off the jar and it blew away in the winds. Just like that. I could just see it disintegrate and blow away. It was just like that. It was flat. It was on the mason jars. Remember I told you about the drunk who self-combusted in that room? Well, we think we may have solved the mystery. You see, what happened was, according to his nephew who was here, his father, his brother, always tried to get him to stop drinking. And he could never find the booze. And he thinks that would have been his booze jar, one of his booze jars. He hid it in the basement in the canning jar section because he was here from 1956 to 1966. On and off, but mainly on. Or 1963, I'm sorry. That's when the fire happened. So 1956 to 1963. And that's where he thinks he hid the booze. But he knows it's still here. The little boy's a mystery. We think that it could be one, either Maddie's boy, or what we get is that he's like to play in the basement kitchen, and that's where we're going to go right now. Oh, and by the way, 2 weeks after that day, Bill Wallace calls me, because we became friends, and he says, hey, Mark, you never guess where I am. I said, where are you? He goes, the hospital. I said, you okay? He goes, yeah, but Autumn just got bit by a big yellow dog, and it was on the other side of town. It wasn't yours. And Autumn, his daughter, was that tall and had a... She goes, she wasn't telling me to tell you. She was telling me she had 6 stitches. To the day. 2 weeks to the day. True story. This is Jay Sterriman's house. That's how we painted it. I wish he had done more on the outside. I saw his wife made our wedding cake for our wedding, and that was 5 years ago, and that was about the last time I saw Bill.
Oh, that was nice if he was still alive.
I hope so. He's a great guy. I mean, we got off on the wrong foot, but it's so unbelievable how everything happened.
Just moved on, I guess?
Yeah, I think so. Well, he got a divorce, unfortunately, and I hope he's still around. I'd love to run into him again. He's such a cool guy. Cool guy. Really cool guy.
They can't come here without
Asbestos one.
You're from Massachusetts.
Let me take you through here a little bit. Let me just grab one more light on this side.
And this old furnace.
Yeah, that thing's running at 85% efficiency, believe it or not. In the shape it's in, it's an amazing fact.
You don't build like that anymore.
Actually, if we got rid of that thing, we could get one smaller. But the thing is that ductwork in this house is bizarre. I mean, look at how big they are, you know. Okay, let's start over here into this room. Just be careful on the floor. Watch yourself. That's why I don't tour down here, because on a normal circumstance, because it's dangerous. Okay, let's start in here. This is that kitchen I was talking about. When we moved in, couldn't figure out why. This was the only room that had a finished ceiling. Couldn't figure out what this fire pit was for. Couldn't figure out why this sink was here or this cabinetry over here. Obviously, it's been turned into a tool room. But back in the day, this is where they would sever the chicken's heads, pluck the feathers, cook it up, and then go on the other side of this wall and shove it up the dumbwaiter to the kitchen. They'd garnish it, bring it out to the family, and whatever they were preparing down here for the children would go up another level to Victoria's room, to the nanny's room, and then into the nursery. That's how they operated. This basement is so important to this whole house because if you think about it, 23 servants working this house for him on a daily basis. Some were cooking, some were cleaning, whatever. Everything came into the house. The coal, everything came into this house through the basement. So this is why this area was so important. The child that is here used to like to play in the kitchen and bang on the pots and pans. A couple of psychics have said that, and I can see how that would be. And actually, there's been some EVPs down here, and there was also a picture of when Symes was in here the last time, no, 2 times ago. This door over here was closed, and they noticed it later on in the pictures when the other guys that were down here looking at it, and then and another picture or 2 later, the door was open, but none of them had opened it up. So, yeah, the basement is all the virgin territory in this house, and there's not left as far as paranormal stuff goes, but down here has been investigated the least because it's so big that people have, like, you know, investigated other parts of the house, but down here hasn't really been. It's been combed through, but certainly not investigated as much as the 3rd floor or the 2nd floor or the 1st floor, you know. So a lot remains to be seen down here, and lately we had a couple of EVPs, but they were on a walkthrough. They didn't set up. They just happened to happen when they were down here. So that's this part of the basement. Then if you go on this part of the basement over here, this is our laundry room here, but that's where the dumbwaiter was, at the bottom right there. That's where the dumbwaiter, they sent it up the dumbwaiter, but we cut right through this door here. He's back up, but that was on the tower, which is actually pretty cool. Obviously, they needed the room for lots of different things. We had to install a new oil tank and everything when we moved in and so on and so forth. But if you come through here, east side of the house, field stone wall, you know, with the brick. There are the mason jars, right here. You can see where we took them down. Actually, those have been down since we searched through them. Here's one of them right here. This is what we were talking about. There's the staircase that leads to the kitchen, like Bill said, which was really a bizarre thing. And they're all there. And this room here, we just had a new hot water heater put in. We had a new hot water heater put in here when we moved in 6 years ago. That one died. We put this one in. You can see all the new electrical we've had to run. This was all old fuse boxes, you know, at one point. But this is all the new electrical we've run. New service line in. Brought it up to date with breakers. You know, there's still a lot of knob and tube running through the house, but it's in pretty good shape. And then anything new, obviously, we're putting in the new Romex. Which, to wire this house, it's like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable because each stud has cross beams going up. So you can't just go between the studs. You have the cross beams going up, and you have to deal with that. So you sometimes have to rip a wall apart just to put a wire in. But you can see all the new stuff we put in. And it continues to go on. These are all the original shutters for the house. Once those are painted, those will go back up. Of course, we ran all this new electrical in here too. So you can see the old gas pipes coming through. There was a woman raped and murdered down here. I don't know about that, but it started off gentlemanly enough as well as a brothel can be, I suppose, with the men in the Stetsons and the card games and the pretty ladies and their dresses and everything else. But then it got out of control, and it stopped. And from what I'm told, the spirits did not like it at all. They didn't like it then. They didn't like it. They didn't like it in the 60s either, when there was all kinds of crazy stuff running around. You know, a lot of transients coming through here and stuff. They didn't like it. But obviously not that way anymore. So perhaps that's why we have some EVPs of a man calling out women's names: Ginger, Becky. You know, Ginger. You can hear it, Becky. You know, Ginger. That type of thing. So you know, maybe that perhaps has something to do with it. We're not quite sure. So.
Put one camera in the hallway. We could put a second camera. You want to run that into the nursery room, the blue room?
Yeah.
We put a second camera in there. We can put a third camera, maybe in either. You want to run that into the looking down the stairs.
Well, the third hard line I want to try to get down here.
Well, we'll run and see how far it goes.
Okay.
I really don't think it's going to come that
If
far.
we can't, then
We'll try the wireless, and then I'll put the high eights down here.
Sounds good.
We'll work it through.
We have some paperwork for you.
Yeah, let's go take care of that. You guys go do what you need to do, and we're ready to see for paperwork. We'll see for paperwork.
Yeah. Let's plug this in first, one at a time. Plug this in there. Where's the cable? Okay, this is going to be camera one. Power on there. Alright, let's take this. Let's take this and grab the roll of tape. Let's take some walkie-talkies.
Yeah, hang on.
Some walkie-tees so we don't have to keep shouting.
We'll work out better tonight.
Okay, JM? No, the bottom one. That's yours. Liz Dave's.
Okay.
And
Which channel are we
to
on?
Alexis, let's go on channel, let's try 10 because
Something?
I was having problems yesterday.
Shoot. I need just the channel.
Just hit the menu button, it'll flash, and then hit it again too.
Okay, I got it. Got it. That's good.
Okay.
I'll take that one. Take this one. I'll take this.
Just give this to Alexis.
Alright. Is she over there?
She's downstairs, I think.
I'm going upstairs first. See that?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Came in good.
There.
It worked.
You should do that.
See, I don't
Yeah,
think
we-
it's... You know, would it be possible to move it maybe in the hallway, like over here, and then have you use a tripod maybe, and have it going, the camera going in? I know it's not too much, it's not that much closer, but you know what, might get a better signal on
Okay.
here. Because if doing this, we're not gonna, we're not gonna really be able to see anything.
Sure. Actually, you see there's an outlet on here?
It was just fine. Why is it suddenly?
Let's go. Let's just get the third camera set up and then we're done. And then we go.
Facing this way.
I'm sorry.
No, we have, yeah, just,
If
we
we
have
can,
stuff plenty of water
have it,
upstairs.
because if the entire third floor is a hotspot, if we have a camera facing, going over here,
Let me see what you got.
because like this one here, we got it, it's
Right, it's facing
taken
the-
here.
right.
Maybe if we can get one like over here and face, the other open area.
Well, right now there's a refrigerator in the corner here. Old
Okay.
refrigerator. That's what we got now. It's looking down the hallway toward the steps. You can put another camera in this, like the camera's here on the refrigerator top. Put a second camera over here facing down the hallway.
Yes,
that way.
yes, that's what I mean.
You got it.
Okay.
No
thanks.
problem. Very easy. Very easy. Okay, camera?
Alright.
Start taking things in.
Do we need the little hood on top? Should we leave it in the rocks?
Just bring it with us so we don't lose it. This is the last plug-in. Alright, but do that after we get the camera up. Facing the other direction. Okay, so we'll reel this over. Yeah, well, reel it over there. just run all the extra cable over this way as much as we can. We'll have to tape it down across the threshold though.
Alright.
Because we'll be walking up here too. We don't want to.
Touch fingers.
And also try not to let this cable tangle up the other cable.
Yeah, so I'm putting it over on that side right there.
Okay. Let's get this. Well, hold on. Before we
Here's
position
the
it,
other one right here.
hang on. Before we position, let's plug it in. Make sure we got power.
Alright.
Or you plug them in. You show me. You show how to plug it in.
Okay. Let's see.
Personally,
Which one I plug in first?
I prefer to do video first and then power.
Okay.
You see anything?
Yeah, it's up and running right now.
All right, hold on. We're gonna position it now.
And then this, the
Alright.
top.
Why don't we move this a little more to the corner? And okay, and then we're gonna point it down that hallway this way. So that's fine. So right now. All right, so let's take this in.
Should we look at the little white line to make sure it's not?
It should be vertical anyway, but we'll check it. Okay,
Okay.
right like that. And then wire. Then we'll use this one to tape down the back.
No, I got another one right here.
Okay. And then we'll tape the wire down. Like I said before, you don't want the wire to be pulling on the camera. On the way the camera, so I'm just gonna tape it down in the back here with a little bit of slack. And then, okay, Peter, we're gonna position the camera. Hold on. Is it good?
A little bit to the left and down a little.
Okay.
A little bit more. That's good.
Okay, now tighten up the nut.
Is this
Just
it?
sort of,
Oh, my right or your right?
wait, that's good.
Okay, tighten it.
This
Tighten it
is
up.
it?
Just tighten up the nut.
Okay.
And why is
It's
it?
not tight.
Why is it not holding?
Is this the one thing to tighten? Or
Yeah.
what was causing it to droop?
No, it is. See this piece back here too.
Keep twisting it to the right. Stop. Great.
Okay, our cameras are running.
10-4. Okay, everyone up.
But if when you go in to do EVPs, you can turn your flashlight on.
Yeah, I'll monitor
You can
the,
check that. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to see on the camera. It doesn't have that kind of. No,
What
Dan,
goes in there?
Dan, nursery's through that door.
Yeah. Quarters in there. What do you want?
Substantially. You could see it just went, and she had to put a coat on. It was warm, which is unusual for this time for October here, especially because we're so high up above sea level. But she put a coat on, and she goes, "I'm freezing," and you could see it, and you could just feel it. And then looked at the temperature gauges, and they took the base read, and then all of a sudden it just went good all the way down. So yeah, good surprise, man.
Let's suit up.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, like I said, we'll leave the light on here. Just close the door.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
And then we'll go lights on the rest down here.
Yeah, let me accompany you, and then we'll be all set. And then if you. All right, you need to go to bed.
There's a camera thing in my room.
Which one?
My other room.
Which other room, Alex? You're the only one that has
That
those
room.
in the nursery. Yeah, we don't want that. You're not in the nursery. You're going in the other room tonight.
Oh,
Yeah, that's where you've been sleeping, isn't it?
no?
Well, you're back in your other room tonight.
Oh, okay.
How about that?
Sorry.
It's all right. I didn't even know he was in that room. All right, go to sleep because we got a lot of shopping to do
There's two in
tomorrow.
that room.
Well, that's supposed to be.
You and I work this.
What are we doing? Two and three first?
Yeah, we're doing two.
You two are gonna do floors 2 and 3. You know, let's do basement, first floor.
I think we'll start.
Yeah, he was talking about the
We'll start out in
that
the
room.
nursery.
Okay.
Do some EVPs working there, then we'll head
Did you
upstairs.
use that? Or?
Yeah, he needs to use
Take some
this
photos.
room
So we'll
here.
turn up the lights in here also.
I have,
Okay, so I wrote down 68.9 and there was the base setting for the temperature
Let me
wise.
suit up.
So we got the two things going downstairs, right? Okay, here's what we'll do with this one. Here's what we'll do with this one.
So we'll wrap the wire around.
There you go. I got the extension.
We're okay.
You got it?
I just plugged in the power. So sorry.
Oh, cool. No, it's all right.
Tape insurance.
Okay, let me just do it.
There we go.
Peter, how's it look? You got a good view of the hole there? What was that?
Up a little bit higher. A little bit more.
Oh, it's me.
And then turn it, twist it a little bit to the right. And twist it. Other way. That's good.
Okay.
That's it. Perfect.
Just have to reset.
This is an interesting camera angle.
That's what-
Yeah,
that's
that's cool.
Think of that.
Victoria, you all set? This area, ton. This room that you guys are set up in is definitely the entire third floor, the entire. Good night. All right, no radio, okay? Keep it on. All right. Third floor, the entire third floor, especially the main hallway. And down in the basement, like I said, you know, that's sort of still untapped territory. A few things have been shot down there, but not a whole lot, and it hasn't really been investigated all that much. So, this hallway, that back room, that nursery is ripe with EVPs lately, tons. It's the little boy's voice coming from the nursery. That's what we've got. And then we've got now the woman's voice. The woman is starting to come out with the EVPs, which has never happened before last Sunday. From Karen Mossy, who's the EVP expert for, she contributed to White Noise and Ghost Whisperer. She has EVPs on both. So, and she walked in and she was like, right away. Especially down there, upstairs on the third floor. Along this area, downstairs in the dining room, that entire first floor is, things have happened.
Did you see it?
So Peter?
Yeah.
What are the teams tonight? Who's
We're going to be actually switching teams. The first team we're going to start at, it's going to be me and Alexis. We're going to be doing the first floor in the basement. Team 2 is going to be JM and Dan. They're going to be doing the second and third floor. About a half hour or into an hour, we're going to switch teams, switch members, so that way everyone always gets to work with each other and everyone gets to go everywhere.
Here we go. Watch your step.
Getting a couple orbs.
That's all I'm getting. A lot of orbs. A lot of dust.
Temperature's holding pretty steady.
Yeah, 65, 70%. Exchange.
Try some EVPs.
You know, if you want to stand over there, I'll put my recorder.
Well, that doesn't matter. You can get the recorder with you.
Oh, yeah, I'll put one over here. Put one over here.
Today's the 6th, right?
Yes.
Saturday, May 6, 2006 at 11:30 11:07 p.m. Gardner Mansion, Gardner, Massachusetts, with LISPR in nursery room. Is anybody here tonight who would like to speak with us? No voice of Peter in the background. If anybody's here tonight, can you tell us your name? Are you a boy or a girl? Can you give us a sign of your presence in this room? Do you like it that we're here tonight? Do you want us to come back here? Is there anything we can do to help you?